What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Be Battle Ready podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Campo, and I created this podcast to give you the insights, strategies, and tactics to help you build a multiple six-figure battle-ready business. And it's not just this podcast. If you head over to battlereadybusiness.com, you can learn more about my coaching. The framework of this podcast, each week we'll cover a different topic. Week 1, we'll cover leadership. Week 2, we'll cover marketing. Week 3, we'll cover sales. And week 4, we'll cover lifestyle and personal development. We do this by having deep dive conversations with leaders, influencers, movers, and shakers in their respective areas of expertise. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show. All right. Welcome to the Be Battle Ready podcast and show. I'm Anthony Campo, your host, and on tonight's show, we're going to be talking about marketing. This is the second time we're coming back around to marketing. The overall format of this show is week 1, we talk about leadership. Week 2, we talk about marketing. Week 3, we talk about sales. And week 4, we talk about lifestyle and personal development. So I have on this show tonight, Najla Khayyam. That's why I'm repping the Fitness Tribal Lab. I'm repping the Khayams tonight. And, Najla is a longtime friend, longtime mentor, former boss. And I would say just a beast when it comes to marketing, and an amazing woman, and just a mover, shaker, and everybody on this podcast has a lot to learn from her. I want to give her the opportunity to introduce herself so she can do more justice than I can. So I'll have you go ahead.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me on your show tonight, Anthony. It's good to see you develop and grow and create this thing from an idea. My name is Najla Khayyam. I am the Senior VP of Marketing for Pacific Retail Capital Partners. We're a real estate development firm outside of El Segundo in California. And basically, we reinvigorate assets and properties and make them better for our shareholders and for the customers that visit them in the areas. And I have close to 20 years of marketing experience, predominantly in the retail real estate sector, lots of mixed use work, but also in the fitness, health and wellness side of the business also.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually thinking about, our talk tonight, and that was one of the dynamics that's very unique that you have. You have this, wealth of experience, not just in, small business, right? But a big wealth of experience in larger business. Like, one of the companies you worked for is a multinational corporation, right? Early on in your career. So
yeah, I actually had the advantage of jumping right into my career and working for a small company called Westfield, which actually was, probably the smartest and best thing I could have done, just jumping into an arena like that and being exposed to the breadth and depth of experiences and knowledge that was surrounding me, and the exposure around the world to different programs and processes, and being, at the forefront of a lot of changes within the real estate development world at that time. So I've definitely had a tremendous amount of mentors and projects to pave the way to allow me to grow and develop into who I am today.
Awesome. And that's one of the things actually working for you is, as being one of your marketing managers for a short period of time was, not just your past history of, really getting to be on the forefront and be a part of the innovation, but, you're always pushing for more, right? I don't think that there's very many marketing managers out there, marketing professionals or VP of marketing that are running like whole marketing programs that are really pushing that, that hard,
Yeah, well, I think innovation is where it's at. Stagnation isn't going to help anybody move forward. I'm very big into including my team and having them develop ideas and programs in order to push the objective forward, whatever that might be. And, we're always learning, and this stuff always changes. This is not something that you learn, in a college course and then you do it that way for the rest of your life. I mean, you can just imagine the different elements and algorithms and tools and tricks and systems that come into play. So a big part of it is just adapting to change and being nimble and being flexible and being able to pivot, and looking for new opportunities in order to innovate and integrate different things to make things better.
What do you feel like was been your most innovative initiative?
Actually, now that you ask, we're just coming back from a trip to Las Vegas at ICSC Recon. And that's basically where real estate professionals around the world get together in one environment and try to make as many deals and connections as possible. And there's something called the Global Awards, and our team was recognized. We had 7 different award recognitions, and one of them was the most innovative marketing award, which was for partnering with a group to bring offline or online connection to the offline world. So really bridging the gap between e-commerce and brick and mortar through a series of geo-targeting connections. So that was something that was innovative that we brought to the shopping center business.
Awesome. Yeah. Knowing I saw the picture and you holding all the
my Beyonce moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, this is year over year. And, this is what, 3 or 4 years running where you're walking away with these awards. Where do you come up with your inspiration? I
get a lot of people to pitch me. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely not out looking for I'm not out looking for the deals. A lot of them get brought to me, and a lot of people are constantly pitching me ideas and programs and things. And so it's really looking at it, evaluating it, making sure that it makes sense, understanding that, seeing if I want to connect with these people and if I want them to be long-term partners of mine. I'm a real big connection person. So I like to see the white of your eyeballs, and I like to shake your hand. And I don't, I do a lot through email, text, and voicemail, but there's something to be said about actually connecting in person. And if I'm going to have a relationship with somebody, that's really important to me. So I'm constantly seeking out different innovations. I'm reading a lot of articles. My team bubbles things up as they are relevant or they make sense. And I just take the best of all of those and run with a couple of them.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about the numbers, like how many people that you're managing, because, some marketing departments are 1 and 2 people, but, how many actual marketing professionals are working underneath you or for you and with you?
Well, we have a couple different structures, obviously, but I would just say all in all, there's probably about 24, 25 marketing professionals under my umbrella at any given point in time. And then obviously a whole slew of contractors and companies and groups that we outsource different work to that also sit under those groups. And then those managers have people underneath them that might report into them. But I think 24, 25 is typically a safe bet.
Awesome. And part of, what I'm helping people out with is this concept of being battle ready, to go to war in the marketplace and win. So in your marketing and in your management and your overall yearly planning, how do you guys make yourselves, let's say, battle ready, to prepare and to have a plan and execute that plan?
There are a couple of things. Having a solid team is really important. Having the base, obviously knowing the marketing basics and foundations is paramount. Knowing your numbers is critical. So if you don't know where you started, you don't know where you're going, you don't know how to measure, you don't know if you've improved. Marketing, unfortunately, has a lot of intangible elements. It's not so much very quantifiable. So you've got to always look at different ways that you can quantify what you're doing as an experience or making things better. Having a solid brand guide and a foundation and something as a roadmap for you and for everybody to always gut check with and make sure that they're working from. I like to let my team make decisions. So empowering people, I think, is really critical and important. And I like to also do weekly check-ins or daily check-ins sometimes. It just depends on how seasoned the team is and how much assistance they need. I'm pretty hands-off unless I actually need to be hands-on with them. So I tend to give everybody the trust and the benefit of the doubt until they prove me wrong, and then I have to rectify from there. So
come on through. So let's talk a little bit about, you've been out of the small business world for a little bit. right? But
Yeah.
you came from a relatively big business into a small business. And, what did you take from your experiences and apply them to a small business, and what did work and what didn't work?
Sure. I think having systems and manuals and standard operating procedures and organizational components really helped translate into small business. And the things that didn't help or that I was a little bit too rigid on were more of like the HR policies or the protocol on how to do things. So those had to be a little bit more lackadaisical, and you're dealing a lot more with the human element in that sense. So I think that was definitely a difference.
Okay. Awesome. And, what do you feel like, what's been your biggest challenge in your business career?
I don't want to say I don't have a lot of challenges, because I just have a different type of mindset and attitude to take the challenge on head on. But yeah. I've had road bumps for sure. I started in this business when I was 20 years old, and my first assistant was 50 years old. So you can imagine not being able to drink alcohol or rent a car, and having somebody who's 30 years your senior in a position that's taking direction from you. So that was definitely something that challenged me early in my career, that I had to just get over and, have enough faith and, knowledge to know that I knew what I was doing in order to move forward and forge ahead. There are certainly several challenges in different workplace environments currently where, I feel I'm constantly asking for money or eliminating roadblocks for my team in order for them to execute and do things. So I'm constantly, hitting those roadblocks, but none of them have completely derailed me or deterred me. I mean, it's business. So you have to just figure out a way to get around it.
What do you feel like your biggest win is?
I think, when I look back at my career, I think my biggest win has been developing some amazing people. I look back at some of the people that I work with side by side with now that I worked with 18 years ago, and how far everybody has come, and that, I'm prideful of that, and that makes me happy. Being able to say that I've worked on some of the nation's, premier assets in the country is a big win as well. There've been a lot of really great successes, along the way.
Awesome. So if there was one takeaway that you would, what you would advise in someone who's really in their 9 to 5 and they want to transition out, like what would you give them as the best advice to do that?
I would say that there's never a right time. Like, there's never a right time to have a baby. There's never a right time to leave your job. There's never a right time. Like, don't look for like a magic calling that's going to be like, now's the time. Doesn't happen. So set a focus, set a date, set a goal, set a milestone, and work towards those milestones. And again, measuring things and being quantifiable in the sense of having certain milestones along the way that you're going to make a move or you're going to do something, and sticking to that, I think, is important if you're looking to make a career change from a corporate environment into a small business. Awesome.
So what are you looking forward to moving forward? Like, what's the big, obviously you can't really reveal the top secret stuff, but do you have any big, projects that you're really excited about currently or coming up or anything like that?
Well, there's some stuff that I can't really share yet based on our environment and what we're doing, but there are a lot of things that we are doing that's really cool. One of the latest partnerships was actually with the city of Sandy, Utah, which is close to your home, where we just partnered with them and the actual city to collaborate on some art components for the exterior of the shopping center. So we'll be bringing in, 3 world-renowned artists and a local artist to come in and paint the facade of the center. So that's a pretty cool collaboration. We're working with a lot of different retailers to solve different pain points. We're leveraging, some augmented reality, some facial recognition scanning, some artificial intelligence, and predictive analytics for some big data aggregation. So that's really exciting and different and new, and in the pipeline that I'm looking forward to working on this year.
Awesome. So let's talk about your home life, right?
All right.
I had Luke on a few weeks ago. So just give a little background. Like, I mean, you guys have, bring it up. You guys have been together forever,
Yep. So we've been together for, man, I don't know, since we were like 15 years old, off and on, high school sweethearts, got married at 26, had 2 kids. We've got 2 great kids, Cannon, who is 11, super into sports, whatever the season is his favorite sport at that time. Basketball, baseball, football, and then Miss Camille, who is certainly one of a kind. She'll be turning 10 next week or in 2 weeks. A singer, a performer, a soccer player. They're absolutely great kids, and I love the community of Scottsdale that we live in.
Yeah. So I know you guys have worked together, and just like the words of advice, I know we've been in that. You guys used to work together. Melissa and I, my wife, we work together, and now working together again. Any words of advice or anything on that of how to work that dynamic?
There are some ups and downs, that's for sure. It's not all sunshine and rainbows when you work together. We definitely had different ways that we, think things should be managed, so it was interesting to, I would say the biggest advice was to make sure that you get on the same page and you divide and conquer on responsibilities, and you clearly determine who's in charge of what pieces of the business and where the buck stops with what decision on whose behalf in what elements of the business. So if it's finance or marketing or operations or training or HR or development of some sort, who ultimately is responsible, because you'll have your employees play the mom dad card depending on who they think will give you the best answer. So
yeah, one concept that I've, my past experience was, there's the communication aspect, right? And yeah, it's so cliche to say communication is the king and all this other stuff, but there is that to it, and a little bit of a new concept that I've heard is this little bit of collision, right? Where the collision is sometimes healthy, because you need to clear everything out, right? And you need to not suppress what's happening and just talk.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had that problem. I just tell it right when it comes out. I don't like to fester, let things. Yeah. I mean, the minute I have an issue, where I stand, and that's, I think, where I am professionally and personally.
Where did that come from?
Cutting. I don't
know. Were you always like that, or is that just?
I think it's just been a character trait since I was little.
Oh wow, very cool. Is that something when growing up, that's how the home was, right?
No, I just think that's the way I am.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
So, yeah. So, what else is coming down the pipeline for you?
Well, I'm getting ready to go to Europe next week, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling this summer, visiting a lot of different properties and programs that I'm working on, and looking forward to spending some time with the kids for sure.
Awesome. They're going?
They're not to Europe, but they will be going on a lot of the trips this summer.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Well, thank you for having me on your show today, Anthony. I appreciate it.
No problem. I appreciate you being on.
Awesome.
So, well, then we'll see you next time. And I appreciate you being on, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
All right, that wraps this week's episode of the Be Battle Ready podcast, brought to you by Battle Ready Business. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur or current business owner and you'd like to take your business to the next level, go over to battlereadybusiness.com to apply for a complimentary one-on-one Battle Ready strategy session. During this session, we'll take a deep dive look into where you're at, where you want to go, and come up with the fastest path for you to build a multi-six-figure battle-ready business. So go over to battlereadybusiness.com to apply for that strategy session, and I look forward to supporting you.